Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Friday, it's September the 13th. I'm going to try and demonstrate this trade here. Um, we got an uptrend going. We had the first really break of what I saw as the little trend line here. My guess is I'm guessing we're going to try to test this right here. That's what I'm banking on anyway, or that's the basis for this trade. Let me get this crosshairs out of the way. Notice that we had a little two-legged pullback. This was a second entry long. Because there was overlap and a doji there, I used a limit order. When it ticked higher, I dropped it in there and it just came back and filled me. And it wouldn't surprise me if we tick lower here and make a failed second attempt to go lower. But I'm really kind of hoping that this, what was resistance, is holding now as support. You can see the last couple bars we closed above it. And then this bar closed, nicely bullish there. So we'll see what happens. I may be early on this one, and it's a little bit aggressive because this high has held here, but you can see we've gotten above it, and if we turn down here, we may have a failed second entry long. So I may be on the wrong side of this, but I still like it. I'm gonna hold here and see what happens. I may pause this video just a moment until something happens so we don't get a real long video. But, I'm looking for this thing to go up and test this previous high here and maybe even all the way up to here. And so we'll see what happens and go from there. If you take a measured leg here, I'm going to call that the first leg. And you can see where that takes us on up here. Even if I measured this to right here and then do this, it's still taking us to this high. So that's what I'm looking at. And there's, you could measure this one a couple of different ways. I think this is probably the more accurate way to do it right here. And then this next leg. So I'm looking for prices to come up here and test this high. Of course, I could always be wrong, but I've given myself a stop 2 ticks below my signal bar, which is this low right here. And we'll see what happens here. All right, we got our tick lower there. Generally, I would wait for a failed second entry short here. But I thought because we're above this that this may hold, and I didn't want to miss this. I already missed this trade. I tried to enter right here long and missed it, and it took off without me. And sometimes that will throw you off. You miss a trade and you don't want to miss the next one, so you're not as conservative as you need to be, and then you get burned. You get burned here for being conservative, then you get burned here for not being conservative, and that's one of the that's a possibility, and that's one of the things you'll battle with while trading. So I'm not going to give it a lot of room here. I'm going to give it 2 ticks below my signal bar. It's inside my 2-point stop, and we'll see what happens here. And I could go ahead and scratch this. I could try to scratch it now. I could wait and see if it just hits my stop, whatever. But I'm basically got a 1-to-1 ratio here. My stop is actually it's 1 tick more than a point, so it's a point and a tick while I'm going for a point on my runners here. I mean a point on my scalp, and then we'll see about the runners. That's where it comes on automatically with my that's just where my auto strategy places it, and then I'll move it to wherever I want once I start managing the trade. And I could drop it down here and just scalp out this whole thing, which may not be a bad play. Because we do have a little bit of a trend line break here now. And I may not even have this right. We might have had a little break. I wouldn't really call that we might have the break there in the retest. I hope I'm not reading this wrong. But that's the way I was reading it right there. And based on that, we haven't tested this or made a new high yet. I'm really thinking we may make a failed second entry short here and then turn back up again. We'll see. It's really struggling to come back here. It's just been really slow since we got to this level. Excuse me. I'm fighting a little bit of a head cold. This hot weather coming in out of the air conditioner while I was playing golf out in California, I think got me. But we'll see what this does here, and I may pause it a minute until something happens just to see, so we're not sitting here burning a lot of time and effort. And there hadn't been a lot of entries today, to be honest. There was a nice short right here, and there was a nice long right here as well, and that's really, since 8:30, that's about all we've had. And you might have even taken this short right here. If you did, you needed a reverse on that, but you know, we're basically still in the same range we were in yesterday afternoon at this point. And you can see that. And while I'm waiting on this to happen, I'll talk about this while we're waiting on something to happen. But, you know, I'm getting a lot of questions yesterday. Somebody asked me about, you know, they asked me why I didn't want to go long right here on the range. It was really at the open yesterday right here, I think is what they were asking me about. Well, at this point, if you go all the way over here, this is your price action at that point, and this low hasn't been proven yet. So notice there's no touch there. So when you do get the touch, there's not really a good setup. We went a little bit lower. So until it bounces here, now you've kind of got and goes higher. Now it's starting to look like a strong support here. So that's why I didn't necessarily take that first trade there. I didn't like it because it wasn't a proven low yet. Now you got a double bottom there. So if it comes back there again and bounces, then you got something to work with. And every time it bounces there, it's a little more you know, it proves it's a little more stronger. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Same thing up here. Until we tested this and made a couple of highs here, you don't know that that's a strong high up there. So I hope that makes sense to you. Just because you bounce there once doesn't mean you're automatically going to bounce there again, especially when you're working, you got one leg down, a lower high, and you're making another leg down. You know, generally you're looking for a possible measured move. And if you measure that right there and then come over, then, you know, you're looking for prices. We only missed it by a tick, as you can see, but that still could, you know, be a problem. So you don't know that it's going to bounce there, but when it did, you know, you might have been looking for the second entry or whatever. But hopefully that makes sense to you. And you know, the rest of you were questioning that as well. So but now this morning, as you notice, we had two bounces there yesterday, and then we bounced here twice again this morning. So that was a good reason to consider going long here. It broke lower first, but it didn't go out the high side, so you would have probably definitely want to try to get long here with a limit order, kind of like I did right here. This is one I didn't put you know, your stop would have gone right here above this bar. But because we had the overlap in the couple of dojis, I used the limit order. And usually I would try to get filled right here, but I just didn't feel like we would tick back. I wasn't sure if we'd tick back through there, and I didn't want to miss another trade, so I was a little more aggressive here and just dropped it at the top of those bars. And I did get filled, and you could see I would have gotten filled all the way down to that close right there, which is what I usually like to do. So you know, if you get a little conservative here and you miss a trade, I tried the same thing here and I missed it, and I was scared I was going to miss this one, and I probably should have just played the same rule. And you know, if you chase trades, sometimes you'll pay for it. So you got to be careful with that. It's just not much happening today. It's really kind of quiet. Not a lot of volume. I did switch to another question somebody always asks me on, you know, a lot of people suggest that you don't trade on, you know, rollover dates. But you know, if you understand price action, you can read a price chart. The price action doesn't lie. The price action is the price action. So, you know, I don't have a problem with trading on turnover days as long as you're following the price action and reading it properly. Sometimes the volume gets a little squirrely, like right now. It's really quiet today. But I did, and another question I get is, when do you switch over? Well, I don't switch over till the volume switches, and you can see the volume This is the December chart, and here's the September chart right here. So you can see the volume is switched now. You're getting more bars over here than you are on your September. So I switched this morning. So that's when I switch, when the volume switches. So yesterday I still traded the September contract, even though they were calling it rollover day. And it normally takes a couple of days for rollover to transpire. So, but I didn't roll over till today. So, and sometimes it's a couple of days. It really depends. Since today's Friday, maybe it was a little different. But sometimes it may be a couple of days before I switch over. It just depends on when the volume switches. Until that volume switches, I don't switch. I just keep trading the old contract. And it's usually anywhere from 1 to 2 or 3 days, something like that. So, all right, buyers, let's move this thing up. Let's go test that new high. Or go test that high, I guess I should say, not a new high. Let's go test the overnight. It's actually not even the overnight. The overnight highs are right in here. This is during regular hours. Let's go test the previous high. I'll tell you what I haven't done. I haven't played with this line very much. Let's just put it over here. And maybe it's a little flatter, and that makes my trade look even better. And this is what I'll do. I'll play with these lines until I find a good fit. But that definitely fits pretty good on the upper side, and that kind of strengthens, and if it's down here, it's even better. So I'm guessing it's probably right up through there. Maybe even right up through there like that. I'm going to leave it right there for now. We'll see what happens. But that looks pretty good because we've bounced on it, and even though we got out of it, we have not closed outside that line yet, and that's a good sign if I've got it right. I'm pretty sure that I have it right on this side, so you know, it's either right there or maybe right over here. Alright, we need a couple more ticks here. We need one more to touch our order, and then probably one more to get through the limit order. Come on, buyers. And again, I took this was just a little two-legged pullback, but it's a breakout pullback long, second entry type trade. There's plenty of room to get out. I made sure I got in with a limit order, so I had room to get out before we got back to the highs. Of course, the last closes were here, so that's going to be probably come into play. And then, of course, you got your little double top matching. Now, if we pop through there, we'll probably pop on up. Maybe we'll hit a few stops because hopefully we've maybe caught some gamblers here trying to get short. And if you were going to get short, there we go. We're bouncing off my order. Come on, one more tick. There we go, we're filled. Now we still haven't ticked all the way up yet. We still need to, I'm gonna go ahead and move my stop. If we get that next tick, my stop will move automatically. We'll let it sit there for now and see what happens. I'm not gonna give back that money. If it starts to turn down, I'll move it up to break even. But I want you to see how it works. I was able to get filled on that limit order without ticking through, and you can see that it's, you know, that's one of the reasons why I like the automated strategies, because as soon as my order was executed to go long, it automatically put in my, so you get earlier in the queue, you know, now all the orders are probably piling up, and you know, all this time that we've been bouncing around, there's probably been more orders piling up in there, and you know, you want to get in there early. So just as the market was changing when it went higher, that's when and my order got executed. That's when, you know, my other order goes, my exit or limit exit order goes right in there. So we basically made $100 so far. I haven't tightened my stop yet, but I'm not going to let it turn back down. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and move it to break even. I think I have the auto strategy to move it to break even +1 so that we don't give anything back. There's a good chance it's going to come back. There's a little gap between those two bars, so there's a very strong chance it's going to come back here in a minute and fill that. It may not, since it's right on that trend line if it can't get through there, but I'd be surprised if it doesn't. So, but hopefully you understand again why I took this trade. It was a little two-legged pullback to the trend line. It was a second entry long. We aren't quite to the previous high here. It was a bounce. What was acting as resistance across here started acting as support a little bit. It wasn't real strong support, but you can see these last few bars all closed above that line, and that's what you want to see. So but we'll see if we don't get on through. They may come back and fill that little gap first. And we may not even go any higher. My trend line may be slightly off. We don't have enough touches here to really confirm it. That looked pretty good to me earlier, and that could be it. And now you see we had the break and maybe a touch. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. But I may get stopped out here and I'm actually going to move this to right above these, right prior to these highs here. So if we do shoot through there, and what I'll do if we continue to go higher is you really, you either got to watch this area, or when it comes off of the upper trend channel line. And notice I did put this on here so you could see the open, the low of the day, and the close of the day. It's just it's a standard indicator that comes current day open, high, low. If you want to use that, it just makes it easier. If you don't know how to find it, just makes it easier to find those levels each day. But you got to have your closing and opening time set up right, and you can see. Let me just make sure mine is. This is a new chart. Yep, you can see mine's not right there. Let me go in here and change it. For whatever reason, mine says Forex futures, and we don't want that. We want U.S. index futures extended hours 2, and I don't really know what the difference is, but I know that 2 gives you the right one. So there we go. That changes it a little bit. Now there's your open from yesterday. Your low and your high is still going to be the same. But that's important that you get those closes. And right now you see it closed at 314.59, so that's right at 315, which is what you want to see. So this thing is really slow. I mean, we've been in this little range since started about 10:30 and it's 11:30. So we spent an hour in this right here, and now we failed. It looks like we're going to fail out the top. So I don't know if I'm going to get anywhere with this runner or not. I might just go ahead and take my money here and call this one a quits here, because there's a really good chance we're going to come, and I mean that's generally what happens when you break out of this stuff. It fails. The bias is up, but we never really failed out the low side. I guess if you call that the low, maybe we did. Failed out the high right here and out the low. But I'm not like, okay, I got stopped out right there. So we basically made $100 on that trade, and minus our commission. So, but just wanted to demonstrate a live trade. Haven't done one lately, so thought it was a good time to do one. What happened to my lines here? I thought I adjusted those earlier. Something changed there when I reloaded that chart. Yeah, that looks, now you notice how that holds prices neatly. We had a little break, 2 tries to go higher. So we may be tapped out here. It could come down and fail. I wouldn't take a short here off of any of this because we've been hung in that area for an hour, and that's not a good sign. But it was an easy scalp. It didn't take but a minute to get a scalp there. Um, just a good chance to demonstrate another live trade. People like to see me do it live every now and then, so I promised I'll do some every so often. But I was done early today. This is a pretty good move here. It made some pretty good money, and then you had another pretty good move off that low right there. So, you know, give you a chance to make some quick money today and get done early, and that's when I generally will try to demonstrate a trade example when I'm done early. And definitely a trading range today, kind of slow. Like I said, we've been in this for over an hour, and it's just not much volume right there. It's Friday. People are probably leaving early for the day, but that doesn't mean anything because I've seen it many times kick off at lunch and take off like a rocket, or last hour or two of trading take off like a rocket. So you never know. But I'm going to wrap it up for today and call it a week, and hope you had a good week. Again, let me just show you the quick trades I saw. I like this short right here. You might have got hung up in that short. If you did, you wanted to use a limit order. There is a failed second entry long there coming off this high. So I'm going to mark that one. But then when it reversed right there, I like that to a long. And notice those matching lows and that little one tick. That's a great place to enter. There was an entry right here to the long side. There was one right here. This was the one I missed, being too conservative, and then this one right here that I just showed. And again, some of these you got to use a limit order. You don't have much choice. Go ahead and make these the appropriate colors so there's no confusion. This one was a long. And there's a couple reasons to like this one too. You got all those matching lows, a little failed break lower, and then I don't know if my chart looked exactly like that earlier, but maybe it did. I think when I refreshed my chart, it changed my bars a little bit. And that's the thing, I get a lot, it never fails, I get lots of questions. I'm actually going to make this one green because it was a little bit aggressive on my part. We'll call that one green. But I get a lot of questions about, my tick chart doesn't look like yours. Well, it's just part of tick charts. You can't, actually there was another entry here. I'm going to go ahead and circle it too. It's a failed second entry long. We're nowhere near the lows. I was already in this trade, so I didn't want to add on down here. But there was a failed second entry. Notice the new high, first entry, pullback, second entry. It looked like it was going to be a failed break lower, so it probably trapped a lot of longs, and then boom, it turns down. So there was a short right there too. I didn't take that one personally, but it's there. And if you saw it, good job. But again, going back to the tick charts, I get that question all the time. Tick charts are not static like a time-based chart. They don't all look the same. I can refresh my chart again, it'll probably change again, but it's the way they count ticks, it's the way it works, and there's nothing you can do about it. And just because the key is, do your patterns look similar, in the same, failed second entry shorts, longs, and those might even be different sometimes because sometimes they're only a tick, it's a tick right here. It ticked up one tick. On your chart it might have been a couple of ticks, or maybe it didn't even tick higher. Maybe you had 2 bars with an equal high. So you can't make tick charts look exactly alike, but it's not an issue as long as your patterns are similar and you're seeing the same general overall setups at the same spots, then you're okay, and that's all that really matters. So if your tick chart doesn't look exactly like mine, don't sweat it and don't worry about it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up, call it a week. Hope you had a great week of trading, and we'll be back to do it next week. Looks like we're still going to try to go higher here. That support is, you see that resistance, it was resistance, is acting support, and so far they can't get it back through there. Whether it'll turn down there or keep going up, we'll just have to see. If I got the trend line right there, we've had the break and a couple of moves to a new high, but maybe it is still right here, and we'll go higher from there. And it looks like some people are seeing it that way because they're having a hard time taking it down. So I'm thinking that's really, you're getting multiple touches here. So I'm thinking we're probably going to turn back down here. So we'll just have to see. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up, call it a day, call it a week. We'll be back to do it next week. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.